Hello again, everybody. Hey, if you remember, about 2 weeks ago, I picked up this PIKO HO scale Whitcomb 65-ton locomotive at the Greenberg train show in Rochester, New York. And I just want to show you a few things with this locomotive. It's been covered before on other channels. I don't know if anybody's ever showed you this paint scheme. This one is the undecorated Maryland and Midland paint scheme. And it did come originally in the U.S. Army Transportation black with little, on the ends, you had the European, those buffers that the European trains had, which is kind of cool. And soon, they're going to come out with an ALC light yellow and blue paint scheme, which I'm not sure if ALC stands for Atlantic Coastline, but, and an undecorated black version. And they're going to come out with N scale. So that'd be cool for you N scale guys. And the N scale will be, according to PIKO, will be all die cast just like this one is, because this one, the body and the chassis are die cast. It's a hefty little unit. So let's just take a closer look at some of the cool little details. And move the box. I gotta admit, I've really come to enjoy this locomotive. It does have an issue, which I'll get into. Let's just show you some of the cool things. Like there's your bell detail. Windshield wipers on both sides of the cab. You know, the front windows and the back windows. You got your horns, your exhaust. Your marker lights that do light up. Red on the ends, green on the sides. Directional lighting. Metal handrails, not plastic. I like that. I'm not sure about the coupler bar here. And it does come with extra little steps you can put on here. I didn't take them out of the package, but there's the other side. As I mentioned before, I like the paint scheme because it reminds me of my old school Penn Yan Academy, home of the Mustangs, blue, orange, and white. I think it's just a sharp little local. Plus, I like the fact it's all die cast. That's why I'm a big fan of the model powered metal trains. Of course, the locomotive wasn't as nice as this, but so like I said, it's got really nice little detail. Oh, you know what? I don't know if anybody's ever shown the bottom of this. And it's got some, you don't get too much like traction motor detail. And you have a traction tire here and a traction tire there, which does give it, you know, a lot more pulling capability. I'm not a big fan of traction tires, just for, you know, when you got to replace them eventually, they're a pain in the rear to usually take off. But, all right, let's put on the track and I'll show you a few things. Now, what's interesting about this locomotive is the function assignments that it has for your different, you know, 1 through 28 or 26. It has directional lighting on and off would be F0, but F1 and F2 is your one diesel engine and your second diesel engine. So you hit 1, and then you hit 2, and it has 3 horn sounds. You have your high tone horn, your low tone, and then your high-low tone. Here's your bell. And it has some functions, I'm not sure what they mean. There's switching gear, I don't know what that does. It has a cab light. Let's see, let me turn the light off there. You see that cab light comes on. And then you have your number boards. There be, I didn't point those out earlier. Right here, turn that on. And you turn the headlights on, your marker lights come on. And those are directional. So when you switch directions, you see a lit up here, I'll switch direction, and the other ones will come on. And you hear the clicking sound. What else do we have here? It does have an interesting little thing inside. Turn off the cab light. Let's see if I can do it with a camera. If you can see inside, oh, I don't know if it's going to focus. It has the gauges light up inside. That is pretty cool. But they call that the driver's desk lighting. I think that's a really neat touch on a locomotive. And you can control the volumes, sound. There's radio chatter. Let's see.
Just a couple more cars, then we'll head for the bar. Man, I'm ready. What a day. Are we ever gonna get a highball? Yeah, the usual. Hurry up and wait.
So it seems to only have 4 sound bites. And it has air valve, sanding, engine room door, which doesn't really sound like much. Just hear a little squeak. Or a little whatever. There you go. I think it's opening and you hit it again, it's shut. And you can do curve squeal, clickety clack is good on the track, and there's tunnel mode. So I'm not sure what tunnel mode is exactly. I wish they would explain these in their little packet they give you, paperwork. But to get on to the issue of one of the problems it's had is when I first put on the track, I'd run it, it'd run, and then you put the throttle to 0, the engine sound shut off. And I wasn't sure whether, sometimes you first program an engine, it can act a little quirky, and you take off the track for about 10 seconds, put it back on, all the functions seem to work okay. I know, at least that's what I've noticed. But it kept doing it. Every time I'd go put the throttle to 0, the engine sound shut off. So I went searching online, found nothing. I looked up PIKO's YouTube channel, see if they mentioned anything about this. They didn't, but in the comments, a guy had the same issue. And he contacted their technical support, and he was told that CV 250 has to be set to 1. It's factory set at 0. You set it to 1, and it'll keep the engine idling when you have the throttle at 0. Which is a great little fix, except it does affect the throttle sound, the throttling up and down. It doesn't throttle up as much as it used to before I made that change. Hopefully they address this on their future locomotive, but I can live with it. Overall, though, I absolutely love this locomotive. I truly believe this is one of my, I'm going to say, top 5 DC and sound locomotives I own. So let's run it a little bit for you. Back up a little. Hopefully this won't be too jerky. And this thing crawls. So we'll do it in reverse. And that's 4. Notch 4 on the controller. By the way, I'm using an NCE controller. That's 3, 2, and here's 1. I mean, it's moving, but it's crawling. And I also say this thing's a little beast. It does pull like crazy. So that's notch 9. You can hear it throttle up a bit. It's like an air sound when you close. So switch. Notch 4. Now, one thing I did discover with the horn is that when you push the function on the controller, I'll back this up a little bit. See if I can get this on the screen. When you push one of the buttons, you have to hit again to turn it off, and you hit 4 again. What I discovered, if you hit 4 twice rapidly, you get a much longer horn sound. And same with function 3 and 5, which give you the different horn sounds. So they don't tell you that in the manual, but that's just something I happen to come across on my own. Do the So I told you this thing's a little beast. So I got hooked up to a nice long train way down that way. And this thing doesn't even really feel the train. It's a little brute. So hit notch 4 first. No problem. Up to notch 8. Because I've had other little switchers, and train this long, they would be struggling, or you hear wheels spin. To give you an idea of the size of this locomotive compared to something else, here's a Scale Trains -9. So it's, you know, it's a small little unit. And what's interesting is, when I was doing a picture with these two earlier, or just trying stuff out, I realized the Whitcomb can pull the Scale Trains or push it. Keep in mind, this thing, the Scale Trains isn't even moving. The wheels, it's just dragging the wheels down the track. So overall, I really love this locomotive. Yeah, it's got that little problem with the sound cutting off, and you have to change the CV, which affects the throttle. But you know what? I can live with it. It's not a big issue for me. It might be for you. I don't know. You know, some guys are, you know, certain things bother people. But you know what? This thing is just, I don't know. It just has such a solid feel to it, being all die-cast. It's got great lighting features. And obviously, it'll pull pretty much anything you want it to pull. And it just, I don't know, it's just fun to run this thing. It'd be great for, like, if you're looking for a little industrial locomotive, or if you have a little switching layout, or if you lay out with tight radius curves, perhaps. And this also comes in non-sound version, if you're interested in that. But, yeah, this has really become one of my favorite engines in a short period of time. Like I said, it's probably top 5 of my DC sound locomotives. And PIKO is going to come out with their second American release, I think in the fall. And that's going to be the Kraus Maffei German, what do they call it, hydraulic diesel, which is an unusual unit that Southern Pacific had it, and Rio Grande had some too until they sold them to the SP. But if those are anything like this, those are going to be amazing locomotives too. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get one. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe it helped you decide whether you want to get one of these or not. If you like the video, make sure you spike the like. And as always, where you see trains, you just might see me.